It's 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. The TV is on, but neither of you is watching it. You're sitting on opposite ends of the couch, knees almost touching, yet there is an ocean between you. Your partner says something sharp about the dishes left in the sink. It's not about the dishes. It never is. You feel that familiar tightness in your chest, that heavy, sinking drop in your stomach. And immediately, your brain starts running the same old tape. Why does every small thing turn into a war? Am I just too sensitive? Do they even respect me anymore? Maybe we're just done. You are exhausted. Not just tired. Soul tired. Here is the truth that no one tells you. The toxicity in your relationship isn't happening because you love each other less. It's happening because you have stopped feeling safe with each other. When safety leaves, defense mechanisms move in. And those defenses look like anger. They look like silence. They look like control. You are not failing at love. You are surviving a lack of emotional safety. And survival mode is toxic by design. But it doesn't have to stay this way. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to stop the cycle of reaction and start building boundaries that actually bring you closer, not push you apart. Let's get into it. The mindset reframe. Most couples believe that setting boundaries is about drawing a line in the sand and saying, "If you do this again, I'm leaving." They think boundaries are walls. They think boundaries are ultimatums. They think boundaries are about controlling the other person's behavior. But the real truth is much softer and much harder. Boundaries are not about controlling them. Boundaries are about regulating you. See, when you are in a toxic cycle, your nervous system is constantly scanning for threat. Your partner's tone, their eye roll, their silence. Your brain reads these as danger. So you react, you fight back, or you shut down. This is biology, not bad character. When safety leaves a relationship, the love doesn't disappear. It goes underground. It hides behind armor. What looks like toxic behavior, the yelling, the stonewalling, the passive-aggressive comments, is usually two people who are terrified. One is terrified of being engulfed. The other is terrified of being abandoned. And neither knows how to say, "I'm scared." So they say, "You're annoying," or "You don't care." Most people try to fix this by talking more, by arguing louder, by trying to win the point. But you cannot logic your way out of a nervous system response. You have to safety your way out. This reframe changes everything. It means you aren't dealing with a monster. You're dealing with a frightened human being. And you are one too. Once you see that, you stop fighting the symptom and start healing the source. The main body. Point 1. The boundary of presence. Layer 1. Stop jading. Just don't. Layer 2. Most couples fall into the trap of jade. Justify, argue, defend, explain. When your partner accuses you of something unfair, your instinct is to prove them wrong. You lay out the facts. You recount the timeline. You try to make them see your side. Layer 3. But here is the deeper truth. When someone is triggered, their logical brain has gone offline. Your explanations don't land as clarity. They land as resistance. Your partner's nervous system hears your defense as an attack, and so they attack harder. You are trying to be understood, but you are actually fueling the fire. Layer 4. Imagine this scenario. Your partner says, "You never listen to me. You're always on your phone." The disconnecting response: "That's not true. I put my phone down 10 minutes ago. You're just looking for a fight because you had a bad day at work." This is jade. This escalates. The connecting boundary. You put the phone face down. You look them in the eye. You say, "I hear that you feel unheard. I want to listen. Tell me what's on your mind." This is presence. This de-escalates. Layer 5. And when you do that, the walls between you start to come down without either of you having to say a word. Point 2. The boundary of capacity. Layer 1. Name your limit before you lose your mind. Layer 2. Most people in relationships wait until they are exploding to set a boundary. They let resentment build up for weeks. They swallow their irritation. They say, "It's fine," when it's not. And then, finally, they snap. They yell. They cry. They say things they regret. Layer 3. This happens because you are ignoring your own capacity. Your nervous system has a window of tolerance. When you are inside it, you can handle stress. When you are outside it, you are in fight or flight. By the time you explode, you are already outside the window. You are no longer capable of connection. You are only capable of reaction. Layer 4. Here is the shift. The old way. You feel irritated by their tone. You stay silent. You seethe. 2 hours later, you scream, "I can't do this anymore!" The new way. You feel the irritation rising. You recognize you are leaving your window of tolerance. You say, "I'm starting to feel overwhelmed. I need 20 minutes to cool down so I can listen to you properly. I'm not leaving the conversation. I'm just pausing it." Layer 5. That's the shift that turns a relationship that feels like a negotiation into one that feels like a refuge. Point 3. The boundary of responsibility. Layer 1. Return the sender. Layer 2. Most couples get tangled in each other's emotions. If your partner is angry, you feel responsible for fixing it. If they are sad, you feel responsible for cheering them up. If they are anxious, you feel responsible for calming them. You become their emotional regulator. Layer 3. But here is the part no one talks about. You cannot regulate another adult's nervous system. Trying to do so is not love. It is codependency. It creates a dynamic where one person is the manager and the other is the project. And projects don't feel loved. They feel managed. Layer 4. Listen to the difference. The codependent response. Your partner is spiraling about work. You say, "Don't worry, it'll be fine. Let's look at the positives. I'll call your boss." You are taking their anxiety onto yourself. The boundary response. Your partner is spiraling. You say, "I can see how stressed you are. I'm here with you. What do you need right now? Do you want advice, or do you just want me to listen?" You are holding space, not taking ownership. Layer 5. And when you do that, your partner stops feeling like a problem to manage and starts feeling like a person to come home to. Point 4. The boundary of respect. Layer 1. Disengage from disrespect, not from connection. Layer 2. Most people tolerate low-level disrespect because they are afraid of conflict. Name-calling, eye-rolling, sarcastic jabs, interrupting. They let it slide because it's not that big of a deal. But it is. Every time you tolerate disrespect, you teach your partner that this is how they can treat you. Layer 3. Disrespect is a breach of safety. When your partner disrespects you, your nervous system registers a threat. If you stay in the conversation, you are teaching your brain that danger is normal. This creates chronic anxiety. You start walking on eggshells. You start shrinking. Layer 4. Here is how to hold this boundary without being aggressive. The passive response. They call you lazy. You sigh and keep cleaning, feeling small. The boundary response. They call you lazy. You stop what you are doing. You look at them calmly. You say, "I'm willing to discuss the chores, but I'm not willing to be called names. When you're ready to speak respectfully, I'm here." Then you walk away. Not in anger, in self-respect. Layer 5. That's when your partner realizes that access to you is a privilege, not a right. Point 5. The boundary of curiosity. Layer 1. Replace judgment with inquiry. Layer 2. Most couples assume they know why their partner is doing what they're doing. He's ignoring me because he doesn't care. She's nagging me because she wants to control me. These stories create distance. They create enemies out of allies. Layer 3. But here's what nobody explains. Most toxic behavior is a clumsy attempt to get a need met. Anger is often a request for respect. Withdrawal is often a request for space to process. Criticism is often a request for reassurance. When you judge the behavior, you miss the need. Layer 4. Try this instead. The judgmental response. You're so selfish. You never ask me how my day was. The curious boundary. I've been feeling a bit disconnected lately. I'm curious, what's going on for you when we get home from work? I'd love to understand your experience better. Layer 5. And that curiosity opens a door that judgment slams shut. It invites your partner to step out of their defense and into their vulnerability. The close and call to action. This isn't a checklist. It's an invitation to show up differently. When you start setting these boundaries, it will feel uncomfortable. Your partner might push back. They might test the new lines. That's normal. They are used to the old dance. But if you stay consistent, if you stay calm, kind, and firm, you are teaching them a new way to love you. You are becoming someone who respects themselves enough to demand respect. And that is the most attractive, stabilizing force in any relationship. Real intimacy doesn't start when you find the right person. It starts when you decide to become the kind of person who can hold space for both yourself and them. Love isn't what you fall into. It's what you build every single day on purpose. If this resonated with you, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And let me know in the comments, which of these 5 boundaries is the hardest for you to hold? I read every single one. Thanks for watching. Keep showing up. If you are watching this, there is a good chance you are tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but a deep, heavy exhaustion that sits in your chest. It is the fatigue of constantly scanning the room, reading faces, and adjusting your behavior to keep the peace. You might feel like you are walking on eggshells in your own life, afraid that one wrong word or one small mistake will trigger an explosion, a silence, or a wave of criticism. You have likely spent months, maybe years, trying to explain yourself to someone who seems determined to misunderstand you. You have apologized for things that were not your fault. You have shrunk yourself to fit into spaces that were never designed to hold you. And through it all, you have kept asking yourself the same question. What am I doing wrong? Why can't I get this right? Why does it feel like no matter how much I give, it is never enough? I want you to hear this clearly, because it is the most important truth you will learn today. You are not the problem. The confusion you feel is not a sign of your incompetence or your lack of love. It is a sign that you are in a dynamic where the rules are constantly changing, where the goalposts are always moving, and where your reality is being systematically denied. This is not a relationship issue. It is a control issue. When you are dealing with someone who lacks empathy or who uses manipulation to maintain power, your natural instincts to connect, to compromise, and to care for others are turned against you. You are not failing at loving them. You are succeeding at surviving them. But the cost has been your sense of self. To take control, we first need to understand what is actually happening. We often think of boundaries as walls we build to keep people out. But in the context of healing from toxic dynamics, boundaries are not about building walls. They are about defining where you end and where the other person begins. For a long time, those lines have been blurred. You have absorbed their emotions, taken responsibility for their reactions, and allowed their chaos to become your emergency. Taking control starts with recognizing that you cannot manage another adult's feelings, choices, or behaviors. You can only manage your own response to them. This shift in perspective is the foundation of all healthy boundaries. It is not cruel. It is necessary. Let's look at the first major pattern that keeps you stuck: the cycle of over-explaining. When you are used to being judged or criticized, your instinct is to defend yourself. You provide evidence. You recount timelines. You clarify your intentions. You believe that if you just explain it clearly enough, the other person will finally understand and they will stop hurting you. But in a toxic dynamic, understanding is not the goal for the other person. Control is. When you over-explain, you are handing them more material to use against you. You are inviting them to debate your reality. Every detail you offer becomes a point of contention. They might twist your words, focus on a minor inconsistency, or dismiss your feelings entirely. This leaves you feeling more confused and desperate to be heard, so you explain even more. It is a trap. The more you try to justify your existence, the less power you have. The psychology behind this is simple but painful. People who rely on manipulation need you to seek their validation. By forcing you to explain yourself, they place themselves in the position of the judge, and you in the position of the defendant. This creates an imbalance of power. To break this, you must stop defending yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. This does not mean you become rude or aggressive. It means you become brief. You state your truth once, calmly and clearly, and then you let it stand. If they challenge it, you do not engage in the debate. You simply repeat your boundary or disengage from the conversation. This feels uncomfortable at first because you are breaking a habit. You are trained to seek approval. But every time you refuse to over-explain, you reclaim a piece of your authority. You are teaching them that your word is final, and that your actions do not require their permission. The second pattern we need to address is emotional reactivity. Toxic individuals often thrive on chaos. They may provoke you, insult you, or create crises specifically to get a reaction. When you react with anger, tears, or defensiveness, you give them exactly what they want. You show them that they still have access to your emotional state. They know that they can push a button and make you dance. This is why you might feel like you are losing your mind. You are reacting normally to abnormal situations. Your anger is a healthy response to being mistreated. Your sadness is a healthy response to loss and grief. But when these reactions are used as fuel for further manipulation, they become a liability. Taking control here means practicing what psychologists call the gray rock method, though we can think of it more broadly as emotional detachment. This is not about suppressing your feelings. It is about choosing when and where to express them. In interactions with a toxic person, you aim to be as uninteresting and unresponsive as a gray rock. You keep your tone neutral. You keep your answers short. You do not share personal information, hopes, or fears that can be weaponized later. You observe the situation rather than participating in the drama. Imagine you are a scientist studying a phenomenon. You notice the behavior, you note the pattern, but you do not let it penetrate your core. This protects your energy. It signals to the other person that their tactics are no longer working. When they realize they can no longer regulate your emotional state, they may escalate temporarily, but eventually they will lose interest in trying to control you because the reward is gone. This leads us to the third critical area, the guilt trap. One of the most powerful tools in the manipulator's arsenal is guilt. They may accuse you of being selfish, cold, or uncaring when you set a boundary. They might say things like, "After all I've done for you," or, "I guess you don't care about my feelings." These statements are designed to bypass your logic and hit your conscience. If you are a compassionate person, if you value kindness and loyalty, this hits hard. You start to doubt yourself. You wonder if you are being too harsh. You worry that you are becoming the bad guy. It is essential to understand that guilt is not always a moral compass. Sometimes guilt is just a symptom of breaking a dysfunctional pattern. When you stop enabling someone, they will feel the loss of that support. They will interpret your self-care as an attack on them. But their discomfort is not your responsibility. You're not responsible for managing their disappointment. You are only responsible for acting with integrity. Setting a boundary is not an act of aggression. It is an act of self-preservation. When you feel that surge of guilt, pause. Ask yourself, am I actually doing something wrong, or am I just refusing to do something I used to do? Are you harming them, or are you simply stopping the harm they were causing you? Usually the answer is the latter. Recognizing this distinction allows you to sit with the discomfort of guilt without acting on it. You can feel guilty and still hold your ground. The feeling will pass, but the respect you gain for yourself will remain. Now, let's talk about consistency. Boundaries are not one-time announcements. They are ongoing practices. You cannot say, "I will not accept being yelled at," and then stay in the room while someone screams at you. That is not a boundary. That is a suggestion. A boundary requires action. It requires a consequence. If someone yells at you, the consequence is that you leave the room, hang up the phone, or end the visit. You do not threaten. You do not warn. You simply act. This is where many people struggle. They fear the fallout. They worry that leaving will make things worse. But staying teaches them that their behavior is acceptable. Leaving teaches them that access to you is a privilege, not a right. and that privilege is revoked when respect is absent. Consistency builds trust, but more importantly, it builds self-trust. Every time you follow through on a boundary, you prove to yourself that you are reliable. You prove that you value your own well-being. This changes your internal narrative. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start seeing yourself as the architect of your life. It takes time. The first few times you enforce a boundary, your heart will race. You will feel anxious. You will want to go back and fix it. Do not sit with the anxiety. Let it be there. It is just a feeling, and it will subside. What remains is the knowledge that you protected yourself. That is a powerful drug. Once you taste the peace that comes from clear boundaries, you will never want to go back to the chaos of unclear ones. As you begin to implement these changes, you must prepare for resistance. This is known as an extinction burst. When a behavior that used to get a reward suddenly stops getting that reward, the behavior often intensifies before it disappears. If you stop responding to their provocations, they may become louder, more dramatic, or more hurtful. They may try to guilt you, shame you, or even love bomb you with sudden affection to pull you back into the old dynamic. This is a test. They are checking to see if you are serious. If you give in during this phase, you teach them that they just need to try harder next time. If you hold steady, you teach them that the old ways no longer work. During this phase, your support system is vital. You need people who understand what you are going through. You need friends, therapists, or support groups who can validate your reality. Isolation is the enemy of healing. Toxic relationships often isolate you because they depend on you having no outside perspective. Reconnecting with trusted friends and family helps you remember who you are outside of that dynamic. It reminds you that you are loved, capable, and worthy of respect. Do not underestimate the power of having someone else say, "That is not okay," when you have been told for years that it is. Healing also involves grieving. You are not just leaving a person or a behavior. You are letting go of the hope that they will change. You are letting go of the fantasy of the relationship you wanted. This is a profound loss. It is okay to mourn it. You can love someone and still recognize that they are not safe for you. You can wish them well and still choose to walk away. Healing is not about hating the other person. It is about loving yourself enough to prioritize your peace. It is about accepting reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. As you move forward, focus on rebuilding your identity. For so long, your identity may have been wrapped up in being the caretaker, the peacemaker, or the fixer. Who are you when you are not managing someone else's crisis? What do you enjoy? What are your values? What brings you joy? Take time to rediscover these things. Engage in activities that have nothing to do with the past relationship. Learn new skills. Connect with nature. Create art. Move your body. Reclaiming your life is an active process. It is about filling the space that was once occupied by worry and drama with things that nourish your soul. Remember that healing is not linear. There will be days when you feel strong and clear, and days when you feel weak and doubtful. This is normal. Do not judge yourself for having bad days. Just keep returning to your boundaries. Keep returning to your truth. Each small act of self-respect adds up. Over time, the fog lifts, the confusion fades. You begin to trust your intuition again. You start to recognize red flags early, not because you are paranoid, but because you are aware. You develop a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can handle whatever comes your way, because you are no longer afraid to walk away from what harms you. You are not broken. You were just in a situation that required you to break yourself to fit. Now, you are putting the pieces back together, but this time, you are arranging them according to your own design. You are choosing steadiness over chaos. You are choosing clarity over confusion. You are choosing yourself. This is not selfish. It is the most honest and courageous thing you can do. By taking care of yourself, you become a better friend, a better partner, a better parent, and a better human being. You model healthy behavior for those around you. You show others that it is possible to live with dignity and grace, even after experiencing deep pain. So, take a deep breath. Feel your feet on the ground. You are here. You are present. You are awake. The power to change your life has always been in your hands, even when it felt like it wasn't. It starts with one small boundary, one clear no. One moment of choosing your peace over their approval. You do not have to do it all at once. You just have to start. And as you take these steps, know that you are not alone. There are millions of people walking this same path, finding their way back to themselves. You are part of a community of survivors who are becoming thrivers. Your story is not over. In fact, the best part is just beginning. It is the part where you write the rules. It is the part where you define your worth. It is the part where you finally, truly, come home to yourself. Hold on to that vision. Hold on to the feeling of peace that is waiting for you on the other side of this work. It is real, it is attainable, and it is yours. Keep going. Keep believing in your right to be treated with kindness and respect. Keep trusting that you are enough, exactly as you are, without needing to prove it to anyone. Your silence is powerful. Your presence is powerful. Your boundaries are powerful. Use them. Protect your light. And never forget that the love you have been searching for outside yourself has been within you all along, waiting for you to clear the debris so it can shine. You are ready. You are capable. And you are free.